delegated it in a totally unconstitutional manner, which was, in other words, they acted totally against the interests of the framers. When I see even about American values that we claim are our America, I like the signs from one point of view, but I'm uneasy from another point of view. Are we saying here, and don't answer this too fast, are we saying that the people outside Salt Lake City, the people who give George Bush the highest popularity ratings in the country and the highest votes in the country, are we saying they're not Americans? I wouldn't think that was right. I've grown up in a period with the House Un-American Committee and investigations and inquisitions about who's a real American and who's a real patriot, and am I a traitor or am I a patriot? And I don't like that. I'm not saying tear down the signs, but I want to raise some thoughts in your mind here. When we say our America does not torture, or Americans do not, who's doing that torture over there? Americans are doing it. Now it's true, we don't have a monarch in the sense of a hereditary ruler, although it might look that way at the moment. We don't have we have an elected ruler up to a point. There's some questions about that for 2000 and 2004. But relatively speaking, if there's not another 9/11 between now and November, and Bush does not decide, like George III, to launch a new war, a crime against the peace, a violation of the UN Charter and of Article 1, Section 8, if he doesn't do that, I expect we'll have an election in November this time. So there will be an election. Otherwise, maybe not. The martial law may get in the way of that. But let's hope that doesn't happen. But who will Americans be voting for in that election? A president in the sense of the Constitution? That's not what they're offered. And I'm not blaming any of the candidates here, whether it's McCain or Hillary Clinton or Obama for this situation. I'm saying whoever wins, she or he, will inherit an Oval Office with powers that are absolutely incompatible with the Constitution as written, which are the powers of an absolute monarch. And as a matter of fact, the worst of it is that over the last several years, that has been with the consent and the complicity, shamefully, passively, of Congress. 2 years ago, it would have been very natural to say, and I did say, well, we got to get the Republicans out of there. Get John Conyers as head of the Judiciary Committee. Get Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House, or somebody like that. They'll rescind those laws. They'll have investigations of the criminal behavior of this. Great disappointment. Maybe I was stupid, maybe I was naive. I don't think there's too many people, cynical as they are, who can't find the behavior of the Democratic leadership in the last 2 years disappointing and dismaying. And to say that is that if we are to get our constitutional republic back, we cannot leave that till next year and to a mere change of party, to a mere election of more blue dog Democrats in the Congress that will give them a larger majority, or Democratic leaders with the same priorities as before. And it's not only the Democrats who have acted shamefully here. Yes, the president is of the same party of the Republicans, but they took the same oath that the Democrats did, the same oath of office. They took the same oath I did as a Marine in 1954, as a Marine lieutenant, and the same oath that every officer in the Army, all the armed services, takes the same words as the civilians and every official. And that oath is not to a flag, and it's not to a president. It's not to a Führer. It's not to any one individual. The president is not mentioned in that oath. It is solely to defend and support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, against all enemies, foreign and domestic. How did it come about? How did it come about that Congress has ended up passing laws like the Military Commissions Act, because they faced an election in 2006, the Protect America Act in 2007 under Democratic leadership, the Patriot Act earlier, and the renewal of the Patriot Act, all of which are clearly unconstitutional and merely ratifying things the president was already doing in secret. We now know that on September 11th, 12th, 13th, within a week, the administration intentionally was undertaking 3 programs that were totally violating of the spirit and letter of the Constitution. 3 illegal and unconstitutional programs. Using the National Security Agency to listen in on everything. Now, I say that because I believe that's true. I can't say I know it's true in an evidential sense because Congress had not bothered or insisted on finding out what exactly the NSA is doing. They don't know it, and if the House proceeds to give amnesty to the telephone companies, as the Senate has already voted, we will never find out through the discovery process what NSA is listening. But let me tell you what I assume, that they are collecting every phone call, every email, every fax, everything, every credit card transaction. It's all there to be retrieved with our wonderful Google-like retrieval capability now to lay out your private lives in full detail in the way that Eliot Spitzer recently experienced. And that's not a joke. That means that my guess is that every member of Congress has their private transactions as well recorded by the National Security Agency as Eliot Spitzer's were, with the taping that they were doing of him. And undoubtedly with the same intention and to the same effect. If that's not true, nobody in Congress knows otherwise because they haven't bothered, they haven't been pressed by the public to find out. Second program, of course, and we'll hear more about that from Rocky, is the torture against domestic law. We say it's against American values. Well, it's certainly against the values that we have here. It's also, it so happens, against American law. That could not be more clear. And international law, treaties, UN Charter, and yet this program was instituted within a week by the President, by Vice President Cheney, by Rumsfeld, by all the others. Not one person involved in that program. How many thousands? How many hundreds just in the decision process? How many thousands involved? Not one person above the rank, what is it, I think sergeant, or spec, Grainer, it's down to Lindy England, has actually had any accountability for that or any investigation. And third, of course, we know now by leaks and memoirs, we know that the President set in motion a program to lie us in to a war against a country that was no threat to us whatever, had not attacked us, a total crime against the peace of the kind that people were hanged at Nuremberg for. These 3 programs. It's probably